Steve, I wanted to have a conversation, and I appreciate the time. Further a discussion that we had at a meeting the other day when somebody brought up bandwidth reduction technology. We do have bandwidth reduction through compression.
It's probably the biggest technology difference over time from the days of old, the original days when there were full images being snapped repetitively and then sewn together to make a video clip.
JPEG, which evolved into MJPEG, and we had wavelet, bringing us to a current platform of H.264 and H.265 being released as we speak now, newer technology. So that is reducing bandwidth with those technologies. But what is the dynamic that has changed with regard to a surveillance system that still makes bandwidth a challenge?
So just like all the other technologies, some things go up, some things go down, so they become a trade-off. One of the big things that has changed is the need for information. Everybody has to have more information. They need more clarity, more detail. All that stuff has an effect because you need more cameras to cover areas. You need higher resolution to cover that area and be able to electronically zoom in to get the detail that you want.
I want to talk to you for a moment before you go on about the number of cameras. A large system used to be 16 cameras or maybe 32. That has changed completely.
Because the cost of the cameras has come down, the aesthetics of the cameras have gotten much, much better. The connectivity to the infrastructure, you're not pulling a wire from every camera a long distance back to the head end.
Like
you can just jump
days.
on the closest network switch, and so all that stuff I think has had an effect on that.
Plus, it's gotten cheaper to store the video also. I mean, our storage technology from those 16 camera days,
where you were getting an image from every camera every couple of seconds. So now you get several images a second. Most people, minimum with most customers is 3.75. You see a trend now more toward the 7.5 and the 15 images per second. So all that stuff is going to have an effect on bandwidth, which then has an effect on the size and the cost of the storage.
So we have more cameras and systems based on cost. The other thing to point out too, based on the state of the world right now, that security is a topic, unfortunately, sadly, that is not going away. So there is a bigger need there, more of a need to keep an eye on things.
Yeah, you don't know what you've missed until something happens, and then you are starving for information as to what occurred and how did the pieces come together. So that's why I think you see more complete coverage, more end-to-end coverage, different technologies being brought to bear that can allow for better coverage.
So we're seeing quantity of cameras increase and also resolution. In the early IP days, there was CIF, 4CIF resolution. It migrated to 720p, 1080p, 4K, 5 megapixel, and we're into the multi-megapixel now.
4K, Ultra 4K is the more modern standard that you see coming out and advertised in the consumer world, so it's starting to spill into our world. And then you get beyond that to some of the more non-standard things like 12 megapixel or even higher, 20 megapixel, and some of the other technologies that you were discussing that you saw on CNN.
Yeah, we all saw that imagery of a gigapixel camera taking a huge image and being able to drill in and really see.
Yeah, electronically zoom in,
and
so the number of pixels on a target, a person's face or an object or something like that.
So that kind of speaks to the evolution of where the industry has been and where it's going now, which is higher resolution, greater quantity of cameras. So even though our bandwidth compression technology is going down, there is a need for further reduction in bandwidth.
Sure. I mean, hard drive capacities have gone up significantly. So you used to have back in the day, 160 gigabyte hard drive, and now we're looking at these hard drives that are 6, 8, 12 terabyte hard drives, and you're putting those into RAID arrays that can put 60, 80, 120, 180 drives in a drive set, so an even larger if necessary.
At a much lower cost too. So the prices of these storage is going down, quantity and resolution of cameras is going up. So there is this cyclical up and down.
It seems interesting that the quantity of cameras used to be very low and the storage required was very high. Now you have sort of the opposite. You have the quantity of cameras that's going very high, and the storage required per camera is going down, but the bucket size or the global
Correct.
total amount of storage is much greater.
So even while compression technology is improving, H.265 is the newest platform being released now. This still is it speaks to why it's important that we have bandwidth reduction technology, and Bosch does it very well with their platform of CBIT.
Right, and the other thing to be important with that is reducing the bandwidth, but not having an impact, a negative impact on the quality of the image that's
Correct.
coming out of the camera that's being stored.
Correct, and I know that's one of Bosch's strengths with CBIT. It doesn't degrade your image quality, so you're not sacrificing anything when you go to playback and you're looking for that resolution.
Correct.
And what are a couple of the technologies within CBIT that people can look and learn a little bit more about?
Well, IDNR is one, which is Intelligent Dynamic Noise Reduction.
Intelligent Video Analytics.
Yeah, IVA obviously helps because it pushes the smarts in the system out to the edge of the camera so that effectively it's eyes in the back of your head where you don't always have to be looking at the camera. The camera's looking out for you and notifying you when there's something going on in its area of view.
Correct. You're only seeing what's relevant in the scene, relevant to you. Well, those are great technologies. I think it would really benefit customers to learn a little bit more and see how that can improve their system and improve the quality of their capabilities.
If you did want to learn more, there's a lot of information lower in the blog. There's some really good, helpful, simplistic videos as well as some white papers and some other stuff like that, that if you're a little bit more technical and you want to get into more detail about how this stuff works, all that stuff is included below in the blog.
That's great. Looking forward to learning more.